Now, see, here's the thing, man. I don't want to start pulling people's covers, but all them people that you thought were so wonderful and nice, wonderful, you know, they wasn't as wonderful as you thought their dogs might have been on the chauffeur's night off. You dig? In other words, there's all kinds of things happening in the darkness of what was going on that, you know, like how does someone from Poland get to Hollywood and go all the way over the top and, you know, have everything it is like a Valley of the Dolls. Where does one camera click in and what film are we sending to Hong Kong for the other?
Please, David, I don't want to guess. Tell me what the main reason is. It's just the same as when you were in, so that we can place spells on people that we couldn't cast spells upon. I said, okay, one last thing. I've been hearing that you must be an initiated witch now to get a record contract. He said, that's right. He says, many of us that weren't total witches have to be witches now in order to produce music.
They were no longer part of the gentle counterculture. They had begun to live Manson's reality and his dreams, like making it big in the music world. Dennis Wilson and the Beach Boys had recorded one of his songs. For a while, Manson, the ex-con, seemed inches away from sharing in the life he had only seen from the outside. Though he never got the record contract he wanted, Manson says, several times he came to this glamorous house on the hill occupied by a prominent recording executive. You had them thinking you were Jesus Christ. How did you do that?
Just being myself. All men are Jesus Christ.
Sometimes he would reenact the crucifixion when we were on LSD. And it was very realistic.
You mean pretend that he was being nailed?
Yeah, and go through the whole thing. And then make the connections of man, son, son of man, you know.
What do you think of that?
We were born again Christians before we got
You
busted.
believe in a God?
Sure.
That's not you.
Well, sure it's me. Under what circumstances?
You believe in God, Charles?
Sure, I believe in myself. Why wouldn't I? Which one?
Are you Jesus Christ?
Which Jesus? There's all kinds of Jesuses. There's a black Jesus down in Florida. He's having a good time. There's a Mexican Jesus in Mexico. I mean, there's all kinds of, there's a Jewish Jesus. I mean, Jesus, you know. There's all kinds of Jesus coming back everywhere. And nothing can stop it. It's a consciousness that lives in your mind. You know.
Don't you want devoted followers who leave their families for you, give their money to you, give their bodies to you, give up their lives for you, consider you God, and will kill for you?
I love you.
Don't you want to become a cult leader? Since the death of God, there's been a vacancy open. You could fill that void. Here's how. Structure your cult like an onion with the most benign and helpful features on the outside and the most controlling, kooky, and evil parts at the secret inner core. Use deception. But don't be stupid about it. Start slowly. A good con man takes a little bit of truth and a lot of lies and pulls the wool over the eyes of the ignorant. Induce trance states and self-hypnosis by practicing thought-stopping rituals and repetitive acts like dancing, spinning, singing.
We love the leader is love. When I'm not with him, I feel like a schlub. We love the leader is love. When I'm not with him, I feel like a schlub.
Over-breathing. And chanting.
Step out down, 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 step out down.
Step out doubt, step out doubt, step out doubt.
Practice prolonged hours of meditation. In these trance states, they are more receptive and suggestible. Revert them back to childhood dependence and mindless obedience.
They have spent almost 25 years in prison living with what they did.
I think that the violence in us is somehow nurtured and brought out and brought forth. You know, it didn't happen overnight. He spent a lot of time taking middle-class girls and remolding them.
I only did what Charlie wanted. That was the whole thing.
What you are seeing is rare footage taken of Manson's followers in 1969. The song is sung by some of Manson's girls. To them, life at the ranch seemed like a game. Liberate yourself, lose yourself in Charlie.
It was so wonderful that it scared us.
One of his things was to stop you during the day and he'd put your palms up to his and then he'd move them in any direction that he could. Or he'd make a series of faces and then you were supposed to try to keep up with them. And the whole thing was always geared toward just complete mirroring of him.
And they would sit as a group, naked, for countless hours taking acid trips. Manson would pass out the LSD and reinforce his message.
You have not made it yet. You have not made it to become me, because I am the perfect one. And that's basically what all of it was about, was taking on his will.
And how often was the acid?
Well, we took hundreds of trips together, so.
And the tales of the nightly group sex?
And there was at times basically group sex. But it was always very planned because it was a means of control. When he'd have different men that he was trying to initiate into the family, try to bring them in, he would offer them whatever women he had.
You've got to have a strong system, but in order for it to be a strong system, the system's got to be right, man. You can't fake it. You can't jump up and knock a bunch of people down and say, see how strong we are? That ain't gonna, that's not going to do it. You got to be right. You got to finesse it. You got to have a one world government. You got to have a one world court. There can be no place in the world that you can get away.
In the meantime, though, since that is probably a long way away,
well, not as far as you might think.
Well, probably not going to happen next week.
Manson was convicted after the gruesome murders of 8 people, including the pregnant Sharon Tate. And after 2 decades of silence, he is talking from his California jail cell, and his words are still every bit as chilling.
We've told everybody that all things are bad. Bad is not good and good is not bad. Bad and good go together. You have to accept one to understand the other. You've got to accept yourself as God. You got to realize you're just the devil just as much as you're God. That you're everything and you're nothing at all.
While on the phone with the reporter for Vanity Fair Spain, Manson, now 76, is asked about brainwashing those followers to kill back in 1969, referred to then as the Manson family.
I live in the underworld. I don't tell people what to do. They know what to do. If they don't know what to do, they don't come around me because I'm very mean. I am very mean. Do you understand what I'm saying when I say mean?
And knowing that the reporter asking the questions was from Spain, in the middle of the interview, Manson begins rambling in Spanish.
I'm very mal hombre. I'm nasty.
I'm a very bad man, he says.
You speak Spanish? Muy poco. Muy poco.
He says he learned Spanish from fellow prisoners. Manson now has a new attorney who has asked President Obama to set Manson free, even as the convict offers harsh words for the president, calling him foolish. About Wall Street, he says they're playing with him. And he says we're all playing with the environment.
And if we don't wake up to that, there's going to be no weather. Because our polar caps are melting because we're doing bad things to the atmosphere. We got to put everything in one world. Everything in one world now. If it doesn't come to one world now, there will be no planet. There will be no life on the planet.
The irony is not lost there. Manson now talking about life on this planet 40 years after those 8 lives were taken, and he has a new set of followers, believe it or not, who say that his words are not the rantings, the ramblings of a madman. They believe that his cause is the environment now, and believe it or not, there's a new group behind him.
Still his voice.
And Revolution number 9. Manson told them it was written for him.
Somewhere in one of the songs we were supposed to hear them saying his name or something. And, you know, we'd listen to it over and over and over.
Number 9, number 9, number 9.
Number 9.